Let's see my whole screen. We have with us Councillor Stephen Erdling, Councillor Andy Schuster, Councillor Dita Burku, Councillor Mike Cohen, Councillor Lior Azarad, Councillor Mitch Kajaski, Councillor Sydney Ben-Isri, Councillor Oren Sabag, and myself, Councillor Mayor Brownstein. I hope everybody's well. I hope we all survived that windstorm and we got our electricity back and everything is hopefully good in Côte Saint-Luc. Before we proceed with the meeting, we will have a moment of silence. As you know, cases are up. I'll give a COVID update shortly, but first we'll take a moment to wish for the speedy recovery of all those suffering with COVID or any other illnesses, and then we'll start the meeting. Okay, so praying for everybody's good health and those with COVID and anything else. Here we go. If we look at the cases in Côte Saint-Luc. So from November 14th to 21st, there was 20 cases. From November 21st to 28th, there were 39 cases. From November 28th to December 5th, there were 52 cases. From December 5th to December 12th, there were 105 cases. That matches with the trends of what's going on in Côte Saint-Luc. Cases are up. The good news is hospitalizations are not up anywhere near to what they were before we had the vaccine. When we were in a similar situation last year with cases rising, hospitalizations were also rising exponentially at the same time. That's the number that they are checking out. And I spent a lot of time speaking to Dr. Kaiser of Santé Publique, who gave us, gave me a very good understanding of what the government's trying to do and what they're encouraging all of us to try to do in order to ensure our health and safety. So there are two types of places you can be. There are one called controlled environments, like our library, our aquatic and community center, when you go into a restaurant, and other places where you have to show the passport. And in those places, you're required to wear a mask most times, except if you're eating in restaurants. But in many locations, you have to wear a mask all the time. Those are considered controlled environments. So if you go to an aquatic community center, you're wearing a mask until you go into the swimming pool, and you only can take it off when you go into the chlorinated water. Everybody that around you, has also been checked for the vaccine passport. Those are the controlled environments where they're finding less cases than in the uncontrolled environment. What the messaging that Dr. Kaiser is suggesting there, if you read the Gazette today and you saw Dr. Ving is suggesting, is that people need to understand if they want to get back to living with COVID, they need to know what to do, particularly uncontrolled environments, meaning if you're going to have a play date, are you going to rapid test kids coming over? Or if you're going to have a holiday event, are you going to rapid test the people coming over? If you're over 70 or you're immunocompromised, and you want to see your grandchildren, cases are high with kids, particularly the little ones that go to school. Are you going to be wearing a mask if you're over 70 or immunocompromised? Are you going to maintain physical distancing if there's singing going on? We've been living with COVID for a long time, and we need to know what we need to do to protect ourselves, particularly those that would get the potential bad case and end up hospitalized. We know that the vaccine protection for most of us who are young, healthy, and if they get the virus and they've been vaccinated, hopefully they're not going to end up in the hospital. But for those of us that risk a bad case, and we know we might be around people that aren't vaccinated, or people that, or children or others who might be spreading the virus, we should be following the recommendations. And I would recommend anybody who gets the Gazette or check it out online to read the article that was in there today talking about if unvaccinated children are present, seniors over 70 and immunocompromised people should wear a mask. If there is singing going on and singers should be at a distance from other, improve ventilation by opening a window once an hour, use an air purifier. No one feeling sick should be present. There are things that we should be doing in our homes, including if you're having parties, doing rapid testing. And if we do those things, we are protecting the most vulnerable from ending up in the hospital, which is the goal. We at the city are doing our part by making as many venues as possible protected areas where you can feel safer than in your own home. So participate in all the things that you love to do, but do them safely. There's a way to do them safely. We've been dealing with this virus long enough. We should know what we need to do to stay healthy. Okay, so that is the update on COVID. Now we're going to move into question period. So question number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can read the question if you'd like. The first question we have is from Marianne Constantine. She writes, and I will be quoting, Mayor Mitchell, as you stated, one of your prime attentions among your re-election promises was to disallow private pop-up synagogues or worship gatherings. Will the bungalow with the large menorah on Westminster Avenue be allowed to continue operating? And if so, is this a tax-paying entity? As well on Eldridge, the home functioning as a regular worship place, is that being allowed to continue? Or did you mean that you are not allowing such places to open up any longer? Could you be a bit more clear on your intent? Thank you for your attention to this matter. End of quote.
Right. So the process started with the previous council, is continuing with this council. As a matter of fact, this evening, we discussed what is the PCMO bylaw and the steps that we are going to be taking to move forward. And the bylaw that council is putting forward is to be used in a way that we could apply it to past and future. So you give me addresses and names. It really is not relevant to me where they are and where they're located. The idea is for each and every religious institution to have the ability to become a legal entity with proper zoning and proper fire and security, all the security needs that are required by an institution. And if not, to be able to operate in our city in another location. So we're not the ones deciding whether X, Y, or Z is going to be where it is or moved. It's the people. It's the PCMO bylaw where they go to the public and they ask for an additional zone to be added to their usage. And then it goes through register and referendum. So it doesn't really matter if it's past, present, or future. It's the people, not council. We're passing the bylaw. The people go through the process and we see what happens. Obviously, we want a place for everyone to be able to practice their religion, to practice prayer in our community. And we don't want anybody that's praying today to not have a place to go to tomorrow. So that's part of the process. And it's making sure that the neighborhoods where they exist are either happy with them as they are, where they are, or if not, if they should have to move. And that will be a whole process that we're going to go through, but we need to have other places. If by chance anyone would have to move, they need to know where they could go. So do they amalgamate with another synagogue? Do they go to a strip mall that's added another use? Do they build on another piece of land or somewhere else? There's a lot to be discussed, and we're doing that. The issue is we cannot allow the present level of tolerance to continue because there's no end to it. So we're moving forward and knowing that we're going to be an example for all communities of a city where religious prayer is a high priority and very much valued, and that we find a way to do it legally so that residential neighborhoods can have peace from garbage, noise, and parking issues and other issues. And at the same time, we can have institutions that are very well used and appreciated by our community. So it's a process, but it doesn't apply, to be very clear, it doesn't apply to any particular address. It applies to everyone, everywhere, on every street throughout our city. Okay, next.
The second question is from Mickey Harar. Hello, Mayor Brownstein. I would like to know more about your plans to address the illegal synagogues in Côte Saint-Luc. Please provide us with a timeline when the city will start to address the issue. When will the city go public? And provide us with a list of all the residential dwellings that have been converted to illegal synagogues. End of quote.
we've already started the process, and I believe in March is when we're going to our public, we're aiming for it to be on our public agenda sometime in March, hopefully, so that we can move forward with those issues. In terms of lists and addresses, yes, staff has been already mandated with the task of ensuring that we have a very clear list of every institution in our city so that the public could be very clearly advised of the non-conforming, the conforming, the non-taxable, the Miriam homes, the dormitories, the synagogues, the shtibels, the synagogue, the long-standing synagogues that have been in our community since 50, 60 years. We want a very clear, transparent understanding of the benefits and the difficulties of all of these types of zonings and institutions that exist in our community, because there are many. So the staff is preparing a list of everything, including non-conforming synagogues, and it's all going to be provided to the public.
Our third question is from Robert Gordon. I would like to know if the city of Côte Saint-Luc will stop accepting the snow from Hampstead. This will make Marc Chagall safer and will cut down on the noise and air pollution, end of quote.
Okay, the snow dump, I asked for some stats on it. So the snow dump agreement with the city of Hampstead is renewable a year in advance. If we want to ever cancel it, I do know that. What they're using right now is 7,000 cubic meters of a snow dump that accommodates 120,000 cubic meters, which is 6% of the total space. They don't have another snow dump within reasonable distance for them. And we share many things. So it would be up to not me, the mayor, to decide, but it would be up to the majority of council to vote down this agreement to offer our snow dump to Hampstead. Of course, we have a very good relationship with Hampstead, with the former mayor, with the existing mayor. I met him recently, a very nice gentleman, Jeremy Levy. We had a great talk, and we're looking at lots of other ways that we can help each other out, way beyond the snow dump that will benefit Côte Saint-Luc residents and Hampstead residents. So it will be up to council to decide if they want to make any modifications with the snow dump. And it's not up to one person, it would have to be a majority vote. So if it is a concern of yours, Mr. Gordon, or others, you would have to lobby a majority of council to make that change. Thank you. Next.
Our next question is from Fernanda Cano. For 6 years, I've been experiencing problems with cars partially blocking my driveway. To call public security is not a solution, as it was suggested in previous meetings. The city knows the hotspots, but seems to ignore the problem. Enough of the excuses. Paint a yellow line signaling where the driveway starts, or place a public security strategically for a week so drivers get the message, or whatever works. End of quote.
Thank you. So this matter will be referred to urban planning and traffic. We're not painting any lines, of course, in the winter. It's something that we did discuss it in committee this evening, and we will get back to you. You can always contact Maitre Schechter, our city manager, who's been asking the questions directly on this issue to make sure that we're doing proper follow-up. But the intention is to see what can be done. Not an easy one on every street to regulate, but we take note of your suggestions.
The last one that I have is not a question. It was just the same resident who wished to go on record as expressing her disappointment with the city publishing the annual water quality report in French only. And she asked, or she commented that it should be bilingual. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Yeah, the report was required by law, and in the future, we can certainly make sure when it's posted that it's bilingual. So thank you for that comment.
And that on my end is the end of question period.
Okay, very good. So now we'll go into, thank you very much, Maitre Schechter. And now we'll go into the council meeting. So the first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Do I have a mover? Moved by Councillor Azarad, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion? All in favor? So it is carried unanimously, and we'll move to business arising from the minutes. And then departmental reports. Councillor Kujawski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I hereby table the departmental reports for the previous month.
Okay, moved by Councillor Kujawski, seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any discussion on the departmental reports? Go ahead. Who would like to speak? Councillor Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm very excited to have the library portfolio back and had a number of meetings with Director West and the new team. Looking forward to our first meeting of the Library and Culture Committee, which will occur in early January. Good news, in order to accommodate students, the library began staying open until 10 p.m. Monday through Thursdays, and later weekend hours are going to follow sometime in January. We've reopened the study rooms to the public with reduced capacity due to COVID. We can now have one person in the small study room and two in the main. We're working on reopening the art gallery and the community art space for exhibitions in the spring. The volunteer deliveries are back on track, and even the book sale rack is back in order, and you could buy some books, outstanding books, for a very, very low price. The youth advisory group has resumed meeting, and the reference desk is continuing to help Côte Saint-Luc residents obtain their vaccine passport on their phones. A lot of people are doing that now. I did get an inquiry very soon after accepting the portfolio from an individual who asked me, do we really have to be vaccinated? Can you change that rule? And I made it clear, absolutely not. I am very, very pleased. I feel very strong. And on near the first anniversary of me having COVID and having been homebound for 1 month with the regular COVID, not the new variant, I'm very, very strong, very pro-vaccine, very concerned about anybody who's anti-vax. And as far as I'm concerned, it'll be a long time before someone who's not vaccinated sets foot in our library. Just on another note regarding vaccines, I was at the Carey Square today, and I saw the great work that people were doing in the vaccine clinic, which is in Côte Saint-Luc and in Councillor Sabag's riding. I want to commend them all. One of my constituents, Eileen Rabinovich, is right at the front. I met Maureen Rubin, who was a physiotherapist for 37 years and has been working there since March. It's a well-oiled machine. And the good news is there were a lot of people lining up to get their vaccines and their flu shots. And I implore anybody in our community who has not gotten their 2 vaccines to get them. And when they're eligible to have their booster, to get them and to get their flu shot, because the vaccine for COVID does not protect you from the flu. And as the mayor announced, our numbers in Côte Saint-Luc are not good. I will conclude my remarks on this note, on this subject, that I've been to some of our stores and I feel like the COVID police, seeing people in our community walking around with chin straps on, their masks not covering their mouth, people just not covering their nose. And I stop in the aisle and I point, put them on, please. And they just don't get it. They think COVID's over, and it really infuriates me. My final comment before I let you move on to someone else is that also got the portfolio of local commerce, and with the Deputy Mayor Burku, we had a meeting this week, and it was great start. And we're looking forward to working with our local merchants. And on Sunday, the Equinox, our twin towers on Marc Chagall, they had almost like a flea market where their residents set up booths inside their party room, and people went and there was a caterer there. There were all kinds of stuff. They went in and bought stuff, and that was a great local commerce initiative. So lots of excitement to share with you in the coming days and the coming months. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cohen. Next. Who would like to speak next? Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll start on the finance front. So to update the residents, the plan right now for next Monday, December 20th at 6 p.m. is to present both the operating and the capital budget. So the PTI budget. Now, I should say that is dependent on getting our final, our final rate for the agglomeration cote par, which is the amount of money we pay to the central city. So we've gotten the unofficial numbers, but we will get a confirmation tomorrow. So if that number is in line with, the numbers we've been hearing over the last several months, then we'll be able to present both operating and capital next week on Monday, the 20th at 6 p.m. If the agglomeration is well off of what we expected, and keep in mind, it's about 40% of our total budget. So 40% of the taxes that residents pay goes to the agglomeration expenses. So if it's, very much off what we expected, we may have to delay the operating budget till January, but the capital budget will still be adopted next week. So all that to say, next Monday, 6 p.m., there'll be a meeting. It'll, like I said, either be one or both components of the budget. And on that note, I would say the finance department is working very hard. We've been doing a lot of simulations. I want to thank our treasurer, Angela Marino, and the entire finance team who have been doing simulation after simulation to try to make sure that we get the best service for our residents, and at the same time trying to keep the tax rate or tax increase as low as possible. A few other updates on the finance front. I'm just looking at my numbers. So we have, in terms of claims for water filters. So these are the filters, these NSF 53 filters, for example, or the under sink reverse osmosis, or the different under sink filters. We've had 415 claims processed this year. And again, I encourage residents who may have lead pipes, please get a lead filter. And if these filters, stop virtually 100% of the lead. So I encourage you to do that. They're relatively inexpensive. And of course, there's a $50 rebate or a $200 rebate, depending on which model you choose. And on the electric vehicle front, we are at 38 claims. We received actually just over 40, which was our goal for the year, and just on perfect timing, and it will continue this next year. So for those who are looking to purchase electric vehicles, the goal is, of course, to electrify the city as much as possible, both for the residents and the city vehicles as well. I'll switch to the environmental front, or the climate change and resiliency front, to share the data this is from January to September, comparing 2020 to 2021 in terms of organic waste and recycling. So organic waste collection, or brown bin collection, up 4% from last year, and recycling, or blue bin collection, up 13%. And this is something we've tried to increase again year after year. And we thank those residents who are participating in the brown bin and blue bin programs. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Early. Councillor Sabac.
Of course, I have to find the mute button. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to give a quick update on public safety. Look, we've had an interesting month, to say the least. Some power outage in District 2 for close to 24 hours. Repairs were finally done, and thank you for everybody involved in making sure everybody was safe during that time. We also had a Hanukkah Bet Chabad parade, a car parade that was organized, and had some agents there as well to make sure that everything was safe. We had 3 times the number of vehicles that were forecasted, but all in all, a successful parade with the cooperation of the city public safety department and the SPVM. No incident reported, and everybody had a good time doing that. We are looking at obviously some statistics. I like to add the statistics around animal protection. We recuperated about 10 animals this month alone. 7 were adopted, and 1 was put back to his natural habitat. But these are statistics. Sometimes I look at them every month, and when I see a lot of numbers rising up around each month, I try to mention, because it is part of our duties in public safety. In terms of overall statistics for EMS, happy to report 100% shift coverage this month. We responded to 217 residents that needed our help, which equals about 1,400 hours of volunteer work. I'm also happy to report that post-election, I'm going back on shift on EMS, hopefully before the holidays. Always important to mention as well, people that make this possible. Benjamin Buzo, 10 years of service this month. Dominic Duandro-Bandi, 3 years. Thomas Lafleur, 3 years. Tara Rosenberg, 3 years. And Veronique Sinchalev is also 3 years. And I also want to report that we had a nice little get together at Typhoon Lounge for our EMS volunteers who deserve a little break sometimes and try to mingle safely amongst each other and celebrate all they've accomplished over the year. So happy to report that was done in a very professional and safe way. That's it for me. I'm just going to add something real quick. Councillor Cohen said he feels like the COVID police. Don't interact. Just don't. Let people do their thing. It's safer. Believe me. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else want to add to the department reports? Councillor Schuster.
Okay, so I'm reporting on Parks and Rec this month. The auditions for the Côte Saint-Luc Dramatic Society for the musical Something Rotten happened at the end of November. This is the second round of auditions. We sort of paused during COVID, and now we're trying to reinstate, some form of arts very cautiously and carefully. And I can attest to the fact that every auditioner had their Vaxi pass scanned by the artistic team, and it was all very orderly and refreshing to get back to the arts. The Côte Saint-Luc Aquatics swim team had their December invitational swim competition this past weekend with medals being handed out, and that looked like a great time. I'm sorry I missed it. The ACC facilities in the arena are all back to normal hours with no reservations required. So, but still adhering to all the COVID health and safety regulations and protocols. You need to show your vaccine passport, masks on, as the mayor spoke about, between activities as much as possible. And we always encourage washing hands and other health and safety protocols at the ACC, in the arena, and elsewhere. During the winter holiday break, the arena will be open, as well as the annex, and there's family programming to get more information about all the activities happening over the winter holiday break. You can keep an eye on the Côte Saint-Luc Recreation Facebook page. So just log on to Facebook, look up Recreation CSL, and subscribe. In mid-December, the new brochure for all the classes that you can take is going to be published, and registration will be in January for starting January 11th for Côte Saint-Luc residents, with classes beginning the week of January 22nd. Also, some exciting news for people who want to venture outdoors. Once we have more snow, the snow has since disappeared, but once we have more snow, we're going to be opening up a cross-country ski trail in Trudeau Park in Gary Carter Field. And that's for cross-country skis and snowshoes. So stay tuned for that once there's actual snow back on the ground. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
That's in addition to the toboggan run that will be up and running as well again this year. It's great. Okay, anybody else? Councillor Benizri.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to highlight 2 points from Public Works. Just to mention that it's nice to see all the festive lights in our city, in Côte Saint-Luc. All the installation was done by our team for Public Works. I think it's important to highlight it. The installation of the small menorah for Hanukkah, the Christmas trees, the festive light on the street light. And also, I think Andy just mentioned something about Trudeau Park. I just want to say that the new fence was installed at the top of the toboggan hill in the park to protect our people. And for sure, we're waiting, for the snow to be able to use the toboggan. So I know that last year we had a ride there. It was very nice. It was with our mayor there and some and other councillor. So thank you to all the team of Public Works, to the director, Beatrice Newman. And I would like to take this opportunity to wish a happy holidays to all the residents of Côte Saint-Luc. Be safe, faites attention, respectez les consignes de la santé publique durant la période des fêtes. Merci.
Merci, le conseiller Benezri. Merci beaucoup. Anyone else? Okay. All right. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor of the departmental reports? Great. Carried unanimously. And we'll move on to financial and information technology, item 5A. Councillor Italy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the creation of a financial reserve an amount not exceeding $5 million to finance expenditures related to roads in the territory of the city of Côte Saint-Luc, that this reserve shall be made up of any revenue from a special property tax imposed for this purpose and the interest earned on the capital allocated to this reserve.
Moved by Councillor Italy, seconded by Councillor Burku. Any discussion?
So I'll give some background on this. Several years ago, the city of Côte Saint-Luc created basically created a reserve for water works to the city. And over the last few years, we've managed to sleeve almost 25% or roughly 25% of the pipes. So in terms of repairs and restoration of these pipes that will last another 20, 30, 40 years. Of course, what we've seen over the years is the roads have suffered. While our focus was on the pipes, we weren't able to do as much in terms of roads. Now, the feeling was better to do the pipes first and the roads after, unlike sometimes what we see in the city of Montreal, where they do the roads first and then the pipes and then have to redo the roads after for the second time. However, the goal is to set up a financial reserve that will help to make sure we can do more roads over the next several years to be able to do some catch up. So this reserve is being created right now, and there'll be a portion of the tax, and this will be discussed further next week, that will be allocated to this road financial reserve, again, to continuously improve the quality and the integrity of our roads in Côte Saint-Luc.
Thank you, Councillor Early. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And we move to item 5B. Councillor Early.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
would it be possible just to know the seconder? I wasn't able to note it.
Moved by Stephen, seconded by Mitch. Or was no Dita did it, eh? I mean, it was supposed to be Mitch. It was Mitch or Dita? Dita.
Perfect.
Okay.
Noted. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Excellent.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the following list of council members appointed as members of the Audit Committee effective immediately. Stephen Erdely, Councillor Chairman, Mitchell Brownstein, Mayor, Leor Azarad, Councillor, Dita Burku, Councillor, Mitchell Kajavsky, Councillor.
Moved by Councillor Early, seconded by Councillor Burku. Any discussion?
So I'll just explain. So as per the terms of reference of the Audit Committee, the goal of the audit, or the intention of the Audit Committee, is to have 5 members of council, including myself, as mentioned, the Mayor, Councillor Burku, Councillor Kajavsky, and Councillor Azarad. And we welcome Councillor Azarad, who just joined the Audit Committee, who's so far already proven to be a valuable member of the committee. So the goal is just to ratify by resolution what is already in the terms of reference for the Audit Committee.
Thank you, Councillor Early. So it's moved and seconded by Councillor Burku. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Now we move to the next one, which is item C, Councillor Early.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the attached list of disbursements for the period of November 1st, 2021 to November 30th, 2021 for a total amount of $6,944,108.89 in Canadian funds. And that Treasurer Certificate number 21-0159, dated December 6, 2021, has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor, who'd like to second it? Councillor Sabag. And that is the disbursements. Any ones you want to highlight or?
So I'll share some of the highlights. This was I would say bigger. The average is usually in the vicinity of 3-4 million. So this one is about just under 7 million. So more than the average, but it included quite a few large projects. So I'll share some of the big ones. So it includes some of the expenses for the road resurfacing that took place throughout the summer. Some work that was done at the Public Works yard. So resurfacing of the Public Works yards. There was some construction on traffic lights. Another installment towards Kerwin Park. There was part of the work towards the City Hall envelope, which looks beautiful. And there was our monthly allocation for CMO. Actually, it seems to be 2 months, I guess, just the way the billing worked. And we also had a capital bond repayment. So those are some of the highlights in terms of the disbursements for the month.
Okay. So it has been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we move to the next item, which is human resources and human 6A. Councillor Sabag, 6A.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the City of Côte Saint-Luc approves the hiring of Patrick Genet as a public security agent, part-time auxiliary white-collar position, effective November 9th, 2021. That Treasurer Certificate number 21-0164, dated December 7th, 2021, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting of the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Sabag, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion? To public.
No, this is, well, I'm going through a series of hiring for public safety, and one is, a public safety agent, part-time. We're just adding to the crew to make sure we can cover all the shifts that are required for operations.
Thank you. So that's been moved and seconded. All in favor? It's carried unanimously. The next two are for dispatch. So 2 dispatchers. So 6B, Councillor Sabag.
6B, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. As be it resolved that the City of Côte Saint-Luc approves the hiring of Paris Sovras as dispatcher, part-time auxiliary, white-collar position, effective November 22nd, 2021. That Treasurer Certificate number 21-0161, dated December 7th, 2021, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Sabag, seconded by Councillor Schuster. As we said, it's a dispatcher. So all in favor? Anyone opposed? We're carried unanimously. Another dispatcher, number 6C, Councillor Sabag.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. That be it resolved that the City of Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the hiring of Elliot Robinson as dispatcher, part-time auxiliary, white-collar position, effective November 22nd, 2021. That Treasurer Certificate number 21-01-0161, dated December 7th, 2021, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Sabag, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Another dispatcher. All in favor? Okay, carried unanimously. Hopefully we'll get some good dispatch response when people call in and need help. Now we'll move into item 6D, Councillor Cohen. Hiring of a library clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I so move that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the hiring of Olivia Valentini as a library clerk, part-time auxiliary, white-collar position, effective December 15th, 2021. The Treasurer Certificate number 21-0162, dated December 7th, 2021, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Cohen, seconded by Councillor Schuster. And any discussion? Councillor Cohen.
No, pretty self-explanatory.
Another hiring of a library clerk. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move to item E, which is hiring of an office agent. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the hiring of Christina Rotaru as an office agent, full-time permanent white-collar position, effective December 7th, 2021. and that treasurer certificate number 21-0163 dated December 7th, 2021 has been issued by the city treasurer attesting to availability funds to cover the described expenses.
Thank you, Councillor Erdely. Seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion?
So just to share briefly, this position was open when we had an internal promotion within the department, and we're happy to have Christina joining our team. Thank you.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. All in favor? All in favor? Good. Okay. Carried unanimously. And now we'll move to the next section, which is legal services. And the first item is a tabling by Maitre Schechter, our city manager. 7A.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So, first of all, I would like to confirm that a letter from the Commission Municipale du Québec, as well as a report from the Commission Municipale du Québec, has been tabled at tonight's council meeting. This letter and this report deal with a conformity audit for all municipalities of 100,000 or less. And the audit pertained to two main areas of the budget, the operating budget and the capital budget. And I just would like to read one sentence from their publication, which says, le budget et le programme triennal d'immobilisation sont considérés parmi les documents les plus importants pour une municipalité. And it goes on to state that there were many legal obligations that cities have. I am very happy to report that Côte Saint-Luc conformed to all aspects of this audit.
Thank you, Maitre Schechter. So that tabling is done. And now we move to 7B, which is the extension of appointment of Councillor Berco as maire suppléant of the city of Côte Saint-Luc till January the 17th, 22, which is being done to allow us the time to redraft the bylaw, which is item D on the agenda concerning a notice of motion and a tabling of having a deputy pro mayor for 1-year term instead of every 3 months. And I want to thank Councilor Berco for all the work she's been doing so far in this mandate. You've been at all the management meetings every Monday and every Thursday, and always adding great input on every agenda item so that our meetings at night have been going very smoothly, efficiently, and all points have been addressed during the day prior to even attending our in-committee meetings. So I really want to thank you for all that. I know Councilor Berco, as many know, has been around for 30 years. She was the leader of the majority during the merger. She knows all the people at the Aglo, and she's doing a lot of great work there too on my behalf with people that she's made contacts with over the last 30 years. Merger, demerger, always around great support. So that is being moved by Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby approves the extension of Councillor Dita Berco as mairesse suppléante of the city of Côte Saint-Luc up to and until January 17, 2022 inclusively.
And seconded by Councillor Cohen. Any discussion?
Yeah, so just to reiterate, as the mayor mentioned, so this will extend, so Councillor Berco is actually right now the mairesse suppléante, or the I guess the deputy or substitute mayor. So this will extend that term until January 17th, when the bylaw, which will be presented under 7D in a few moments, until that comes into effect. And if I can add, it's it's been a pleasure and a privilege to work with Councillor Berco over the last 16 years, and look forward to continuing to work with her in the next 4 years, over the next 4 years, in this new capacity of hers.
Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Otherwise, I'll call for the vote. Oh, Councillor Cohen, go ahead. Councillor Cohen.
I've worked with Councillor Berco actually for 30 years, because when I first met her, I was covering City Hall, I think for the Suburban and then for the Monitor, and I covered her career. I interviewed her, I quoted her, then I became her colleague. And I will say that Mr. Mayor, you're a trailblazer. And I believe that this is a long time in coming, and I think other municipalities will perhaps follow your lead and consider recognizing veteran distinguished counselors to have that role. You know, one of the things we did since Anthony Housefather became mayor and you succeeded him is we've really got our committees to be very active. And I want to thank our staff. I want to thank our city manager and our two associate city managers and all of the staff, because we all have portfolios. And I know that we've only been in office for a little bit more than a month, and the committees are going strong. And the fact COVID has done a lot of bad things, but the one good thing, it's driven us online, and it's making having meetings much easier. I had a meeting of local commerce the other day, and it was at my lunch hour. So we went online and we met for over an hour. And Mr. Mayor, you can't make every meeting. It's impossible. So now we have the deputy mayor, and I felt really good with Councillor Burku at that meeting, knowing that she was endorsing a lot of my ideas. We had a great discussion. So good luck, Councillor Burku. Well deserved, and I'm proud to second the motion.
Thank you. And I want to thank all of you for all your work on the various portfolios that you have. You know, when I was elected to council in my 20s, I didn't have any portfolios. There was no such thing. All we did was show up to public meetings once a month, view the agenda, and voted. We've come a long way in Côte Saint-Luc. This whole portfolio system, and now a deputy mayor, engages each and every one of you to do so much more. And it allows us to do things like, we created the Dramatic Society, and we did things in Parks and Rec, and each one of you is doing things in your own area that wouldn't happen by themselves. So thank you all, and thank you, Councillor Burku. And we're looking forward to all of the great ideas that you'll all come up with, and the new things that we're going to put forward. So it's been discussed, moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried with Councillor Azarad dissenting. And we move to the next item, which is item number C. Councillor Burku. I think you're moving this one? Yeah.
So thank you very much for your vote of support. I appreciate that very much. And I will read item 7C, which is a resolution mandating Bélanger Sauvé, our legal counsel. So be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc Council hereby ratifies the awarding of the mandate to the firm Bélanger Sauvé for human resources general consultation, or to represent the city of Côte Saint-Luc's interest in front of the Tribunal Administratif du Travail. That Treasurer Certificate number 21-0084 dated May 3rd, 2021 has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Burku, seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any discussion?
Yeah, so basically we have some cases, human resource cases, labor law cases that do end up at the Tribunal Administratif. And so we're basically giving a mandate to Bélanger Sauvé, a very well-known legal firm, to represent us in front of the Tribunal Administratif.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. We move to the next item, which is item number D. Councillor Erdely.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I was just asked at this juncture to make a very quick announcement for the second question period, just to do it well in advance. I'm working very closely with our team, and they are saying that now with the new system, residents are able to put their second questions into the form at côtesaintluc.org/council or côtesaintluc.org en français conseil, and they will go to the question period at Côte Saint-Luc. So if any resident does have a question that pertains to the agenda, they are welcome to do so in that format. And I apologize for the interlude, but it was just important for the residents or the questioners.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Matrix Schechter. Okay, so you got that in, and now we were on item D. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I hereby give notice of motion that bylaw G18-0001-1 to be entitled bylaw G18-0001-1, amending bylaw G18-0001 entitled Bylaw Concerning Rules for the Conduct of Council Meetings for the Côte Saint-Luc Hampstead Montreal West Borough in order to modify the term of the maire suppléant or mairesse suppléante will be presented at a later meeting for adoption. Furthermore, I'm mentioning the scope and object of bylaw G18-0001-1 to be entitled bylaw G18-0001-1, amending bylaw G18-0001, entitled bylaw concerning rules for the conduct of council meetings of the Côte Saint-Luc Hampstead Montreal West Borough in order to modify the term of maire suppléante or mairesse suppléante. And finally, I am tabling the draft bylaw G18-001-1 entitled bylaw G18-0001-1, amending bylaw G18-0001, entitled bylaw concerning rules for the conduct of council meetings of the Côte Saint-Luc Hampstead Montreal West Borough in order to modify the term of the maire suppléante or mairesse suppléante.
It's good you're good with numbers. So moved by Councillor Erdely. No moving. It's just tabling.
No, there's no voting on this one. So just if I can add, we were just talking about this earlier. So this is one of the few bylaws that actually goes back to the time of the borough. So that's why the numbering is not our normal numbering system, but in order to keep it consistent with the original bylaw, which dates back to those infamous borough years, that's why the numbering doesn't match with our general numbering system we use for other bylaws. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so then we go into item E, which is a tabling by our city manager.
Correct. So pursuant to bylaw 2496, which relates to code of ethics and good conduct for the elected municipal officers, we, according to our bylaw and according to provincial law, on an annual basis at the regular council meeting in December, must table, it's a public register of disclosure statements relating to any gifts or advantages accepted by elected officials of a certain nominal amount. There is nothing on the register, so nothing was declared, and that is consistent with what we have seen annually. So I'm tabling this register and for the purpose of the council.
Thank you, Maître Schechter. And now we move on to item F, Councillor Burku.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hang on, let me see. Am I muted? Hang on. Oh, no, I'm here. Okay. So, so be it resolved, this involves a request for subsidy for a legal case that we're pursuing. So I'm just going to read the resolution coming up. Okay. So whereas the Union des Municipalités de Québec has established a program entitled Fonds Municipal d'Action Juridique, one of the components of which is to provide financial assistance to its members involved in court cases that are of interest and concern to all municipalities in Quebec. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc Council hereby ratifies the lawsuit having been filed in the court bearing court file number 522-269-530-211, that Côte Saint-Luc Council hereby authorizes the subsidy request from the Union des Municipalités du Québec Fonds Municipal d'Action Juridique for the city's lawsuit bearing court file number 500-22-269-530-211, and that the Côte Saint-Luc Council hereby authorizes the city clerk and assistant city clerk to sign any and all documents concerning the subsidy request, and that a certified copy of the present resolution be sent to the Union des Municipalités du Québec.
And so to ratify the filing of the lawsuit.
Okay, so it's a resolution moved by Councillor Burku, seconded by. So this would also need to be seconded by Councillor Sabag. Any other discussion on it, Councillor Burku? No?
So basically that's it. We are submitting our request. It's not the first time that Maître Schechter files a request for subsidy. Sometimes we get it, sometimes we don't. It's worth a shot. And if we get the subsidy, then basically our legal fees will be covered for the amount that we submitted. So the UMQ will decide if they want to give us the grant or not. Thank you.
So moved and seconded, all in favor of getting money? Favor? Great. Carried unanimously. Let's get it. Next one is G, Councilor Berkeley. The schedule of the
Right.
January
Okay.
meeting.
Got it. Thank you. So, je vais le lire en français. Il est résolu que le conseil municipal de Côte Saint-Luc modifie par la présente la séance ordinaire du conseil prévue le 10 janvier 2022 à 8 heures au 17 janvier 2022 à 20 heures. En français, c'est 20 heures. Et qu'un avis public de la modification du calendrier des séances mensuelles ordinaires sera publié conformément à l'article 320 de la loi sur les cités et villes.
OK. Proposé par le conseiller Burkou et appuyé par le conseiller Sebag. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions?
Non, on a adopté un calendrier au mois de septembre et on va juste le modifier pour la réunion du mois de janvier. Au lieu de la tenir le 10 janvier, on va la tenir le 17 janvier.
OK. Très bien. OK. Tout le monde en faveur? Le conseiller Cohen, vous êtes en faveur aussi? Oui? OK. Appuyé unanimement. Fantastic. Now we go on to number H, which would be Councillor Erdl.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Council of the City of Côte Saint-Luc officially declare that such statements of pecuniary interest have been received from Mayor Brownstein, Councilors Lior Azarad, Sidney Benizri, Dita Burku, Mitch Kajowski, Oren Sabag, and Andy Schuster, and instructs the city clerk to deposit same in the archives of the city, as well as to send the official list of those who filed their declaration to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Habitation.
Moved by Councillor Erdl, seconded by Councillor Azarad. Any discussion?
So just to explain, this is a standard procedure that is done every year, and it must be done within 60 days of an election or the anniversary thereof. And so this is a statement of pecuniary interest. And like I said, each member of council must present theirs. Just to mention for myself and Councillor Cohen, we had presented ours earlier, so they were ratified at last month's council meeting.
Thank you. All in favor? So I was moved by Councillor Erdl, seconded by Councillor Azarad, and approved by everyone. Thank you. Okay, and now we move to Parks and Rec, item 8. 8A, Councillor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby awards a one-year contract for the supply of chemical products to Aldest Inc. for the period January 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2022 for an approximate amount of $54,997.50 plus applicable taxes. That a treasurer's certificate will be issued in January 2022 to attest to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Thank you, Councillor Schuster. Seconded by Councillor Benizri. Any discussion?
This is just the chemicals that make our pool look clear and crisp for swimming.
And I can tell you they are. I was swimming there this week. Crystal clear. It's great. Everybody should go. Wear your mask, get on in there, and then you just take the mask off before you get in the chlorinated water. It's great. Moved and seconded, all in favor. Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. Now we move to item 8B. Councillor Schuster.
Okay.
So notice a
8B.
motion and tabling.
This is, okay, here. I hope I get this right. I hereby give notice of motion that bylaw 2577, creating the fee schedule for culture, sports, and leisure activities for the spring and summer of 2022 will be presented at a later meeting for adoption. I hereby table the draft bylaw 2577, creating the fees, I've just lost my place, for culture, sports, and leisure activities for the spring and summer of 2022.
I think she did that perfectly, Maître Schechter. What do you say?
It was absolutely perfect. She did exactly what we had to do.
Excellent. Excellent. It's all
The
done.
bylaw, just to state that the object of the bylaw deals with the annual fees. It's an annual bylaw that we adopt so that we adopt our fees by tariff.
Perfect. Now we go to Public Works. Councillor Benizri. 9A.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Est résolu que le conseil municipal de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc octroie par la présente un contrat d'1 an pour des services de conciergerie à Axia pour la période entre le 1er janvier 2022 et le 31 décembre 2022 pour un montant maximal de 278 632,90 $ plus les taxes applicables, selon les mêmes modalités que celles de l'appel d'offres C-18-14. Qu'un certificat du trésorier sera émis en janvier 2022 pour attester de la disponibilité des fonds nécessaires pour couvrir les dépenses décrites ci-dessus. Que la conseillère générale de la ville soit par les présentes autorisée à signer la lettre d'entente entre les parties établissant les modalités du contrat.
Proposé pour le conseiller Benizri et appuyé par le conseiller Azarad. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions?
This is awarding the contract for janitorial services for the 2022 year. So,
Yeah. Very pleased with the service of this company. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? It's carried unanimously. And now we move into urban planning. Councilor Kajowski, we're going to urban planning. We'll start with all minor exemptions today. And 10.1A is 5518 Westbourne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is very exciting. Credit to Councillor Burko. This is harder than it looks to present pack items at a public meeting. So,
Well, we're going to show the pictures.
yeah, I think Stephen or
Yeah.
Councillor Erdely is going to share his screen.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is for a minor exemption. Let me just get to the page here. To allow the construction of a gazebo in the rear yard with an area just slightly bigger than the maximum permitted, so 12.9 meters squared. So the maximum permitted 11.61 meters squared. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, so that one
Pretty
is
simple.
moved by Councillor Kajowski and seconded by Councillor Azarad. Any more discussion? Otherwise, we'll do the vote.
I need to read the resolution, I believe, Mr. Mayor, yes?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, be resolved that in accordance with the provisions of bylaw G 18-0005, the request for a minor exemption regarding the property located at 5518 Westbourne, lot 1561701, be and is hereby approved. The whole is more amply delineated hereunder. The request is to allow the construction of a gazebo in the rear yard with an area of 12.91 meters squared instead of the maximum permitted area of 11.61 meters squared. The whole withstanding the provisions of zoning bylaw number 2217, Article 4-4-3 and Article 445F.
Moved by Councillor Kajowski and seconded by Councillor Azarad. All in favor? It's carried unanimously. And now we move to 5581 Pinedale. Councillor Kajowski.
So this is for a request for a minor exemption to allow the construction of a balcony in the rear yard, in the rear 7.8 feet from the rear landline instead of the minimum required 10 feet. And to allow the existing semi-detached dwelling to maintain its current secondary front setback of 14.1 feet instead of the minimum required secondary front setback of 15 feet, so just under 1 foot. So be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of bylaw G 18-0005, the request for a minor exemption regarding the property located at 5581 Pinedale, lot 2090203, be and is hereby approved. The whole is more amply delineated hereunder. And I believe we went through the details of the minor exemption request already.
Nice to see the improvements. Very nice. So it's moved by Councillor Kajowski and seconded by Councillor Burku. Right? Councillor Burku? Okay. Anything else to discuss? So all in favor? Very nice. Approve unanimously. Let them enjoy it in good health. Next one is 5600 Alpine.
All right. So here, what would you prefer, Mr. Mayor? Should I do the little, should I do a blurb? Or should I go straight to the
whatever you like, as long as you
resolution?
read the resolution, explain what it's about, and we see the picture, it's all good.
Okay, well, the resolution usually in the case of minor exemption is self-explanatory. So I'll do that. And if there's anything to just explain in a little greater detail, I'll do that. So be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of bylaw G18-0005, the request for minor exemption regarding the property located at 5600 Alpine, lot 2090174, be and is hereby approved, the whole as more amply delineated hereunder. The request is to allow the existing semi-detached single-family dwelling to maintain its current secondary front setback facing Fleet Road of 14.1 feet instead of the minimum required secondary front setback of 15 feet. The whole, notwithstanding the provisions of zoning bylaw number 2217, Annex B, Zone RU-1, and Article 4-4-1. So, like I said, self-explanatory. It's for a minor exemption of just under 1 foot.
Okay, moved by Councillor Kajewski, seconded by Councillor Burku. All in favor? Carried unanimously. They got the foot. Next is 6803 Corsac. Councillor Benizri. Well, Councillor Kajewski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
District.
Councillor Benizri is free to comment afterwards if he likes. It's fairly straightforward again. I'll go straight to the resolution itself, that in accordance, be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of bylaw G18-0005, the request for a minor exemption regarding the property located at 6803 Corsac, lot 1561348, be and is hereby approved, the whole is more amply delineated hereunder. The request is to allow the construction of an 8-foot high fence within the first 4.57 meters or 15 feet from the front land line on the north lateral side of the property instead of the maximum allowed fence height of 3 feet above the sidewalk or curb level within the first 15 feet from the front land line. The whole, notwithstanding the provisions of zoning bylaw number 2217, Article 8-2 and Article 4-4-1. So this requires maybe just a little bit of explanation because we're allowing a 15-foot fence instead of a 3-foot fence. It's really due to the unique position of this property, or sorry, 8-foot fence instead of 3 feet. If you see on the screen share, thank you, Stephen, for the cursor movement. So the position or the location of this property is a little bit unique in that it lacks a little bit of privacy. So they've asked to erect a fence for a little bit more privacy from that driveway into the parking lot of, I believe it's Presidential Towers, Tiffany Towers. So that's that.
Okay. All right. So it's been moved by Councillor Kajewski, seconded by Councillor Benizri. Any other discussion? All in favor? All in favor of the fence? Okay, carried unanimously. And now we move to the last item, which is 6832 Holland. Councillor Kajewski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of bylaw G18-0005, the request for a minor exemption regarding the property located at 6832 Holland, lot 1561607, be and is hereby approved, the whole as more amply delineated hereunder. The request is to allow the construction of a balcony in the rear yard with an encroachment into the rear setback of 17 feet instead of the maximum permitted encroachment into the rear setback of 10 feet. The whole, notwithstanding the provisions of zoning bylaw number 2217, Article 4-2-2, Table 1, and Article 4-4-3.
Okay.
So
go ahead.
just to explain briefly, again, it's kind of the unique location of the property. There are no rear neighbors, so we're permitting the property owner to encroach or be closer to the rear landline than would normally be permitted.
Okay, so moved by Councillor Kajewski, seconded by Councillor Benizri. Any other discussion on this? All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we move now to the stance on issues at the Aglo. Councillor Sabat. We're going to
Thank
do the
you,
stats.
thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. That the council be it resolved that the council take the following stance in view of any agglomeration council meeting to be held in January 2022 as follows. To authorize the mayor or his duly authorized replacement to make any decisions he deems necessary and in the best interest of the city of Côte Saint-Luc and its residents regarding the items on the agenda of the agglomeration council meetings to be held in January 2022, based on the information to be presented during those meetings.
Moved by Councillor Sabag, seconded by whoever wishes. I don't think we picked anyone. Councillor Gajowski. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and this is so that when I go to the Aglo, I have authorization to make decisions, or if my representative, which is now Councillor Burko, when I'm not available, can make those decisions on behalf of the city. Carried unanimously, and we move to other business. Any other business? Second question period. Do we have any?
I haven't received any, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, well, we told everybody nice and early, so I guess there aren't any. So I'll call for adjournment.
So it be moved.
Moved by Councillor Spag, seconded by Councillor Schuster. All in favor of adjournment? So it's carried. We're adjourned. Have a wonderful evening, everybody, and stay